Hi, my name is Jackson Howell, and I'm a student at Berkshire School. Throughout the third quarter, I examined fracking and how it affects people all over the world. After thoroughly analyzing the film Groundswell Rising, a documentary that shows the real effects of hydrofracking, I created an iceberg model that shows the mental models, the system structures, the patterns, and the events. This model helps uncover the real impacts of fracking and shows the industry from a systematic and relational view. At the bottom of the iceberg is where our process begins, under the level of mental models. Mental models are where everything seems to begin, and it produces multiple sides of viewpoints. The two areas that I examined were the corporate state, which I will explain a little more thoroughly here shortly, and the people. On the corporate side of things, they believe that fracking is a positive thing for various reasons. In the film, the governor of Colorado states, "There's no denying the tremendous power that affordable natural gas creates. It's clean, inexpensive, it creates jobs here. I think it makes the world a safer place." Though this thought seems trustworthy, there is a completely different view of this. On the other hand, we have the people and workers' perspective of the problem. A physician named Walter Sau explains the jobs that are being produced in the gas drilling industry are very dangerous. The workers themselves are going to be exposed to a whole variety of different chemicals and air pollutants. A few minutes later in the film, a former drill worker, Randy Moyer, explains that he has a tremendous side effects from the chemicals inside the wells. Both of these contradicting sides fuel the next level of the iceberg, moving closer to the actual events that the population sees. Again, at the system structure level, there are multiple sides of the equation that form the argument like the mental models. We have the corporate state side of things, then we have the community coming together as one. There were many instances in the film when a community came together and fought for their right. Pine Creek Valley of Pennsylvania was a very important one that stuck out to me because they really worked out hard to protect their community, and it showed when they won the case, but that's a different story. Moving on to the corporate state. The corporate state is made up of corporations, the judicial system, government agencies, lobbyist groups, which are groups trying to persuade government agencies to their side, usually for the benefit of themselves and the companies they work for, and lastly, the politicians. This is the simple version of a corporate state. James Browning of Common Cause explains, "These large corporations are willing to do almost anything to buy politicians, to put money into their campaigns. If we don't fix some of these core issues now around money and politics, the debates will be won by the industry before it's even started." All of these systems structures listed closely relate to the Invisible Hand film, which our class watched at the start of semester 2. We can see the ways it relates to Groundswell Rising. In Invisible Hand, the community of Grant Township came together and fought against the corporate state. A great quote from this film states, "The people of the township are the legitimate decision makers, not the DEP, not PGT. It's the folks who are the decision makers. And let's not forget about the DEP that the DEP works for the people, not the other way around." This way of thinking can motivate and did motivate the people of Grant Township in Pennsylvania. In Groundswell Rising, there are many instances where the people became motivated, and that's where the community really dug deep to come out on top. They became a structure that aimed to disrupt the goals and decisions of the corporate state. The next level to the iceberg aims to show the patterns that are a result due to the mental models and system structures outlined. These patterns of behavior are trends over time, and statistics gathered by professionals and citizen scientists regarding the drilling and how it has affected people around the areas. A more broad research study performed by the University of Colorado states, if you live within a half-mile radius of the well, the risk of cancer, asthma, and other adverse health effects are greatly increased. This leads me to the question, how many other schools, if any, are carrying out these research projects related to fracking? Going off this research, Doug Shields, a former president of Pittsburgh City Council, stated, "We have 3 rivers here, the Allegheny, the Monongahela, in Ohio. These rivers were contaminated with trihalomethanes as a result of dumping bromides, a product of drilling, into our rivers. Staying in the Pittsburgh area, Washington County has the most fracking wells out of every other country in Pennsylvania with 1,146, according to the State Impact of Pennsylvania. As we can see, there are a number of recurring instances regarding the issues of fracking wells, not only in the state of Pennsylvania, but also all over the world. In the Invisible Hand film, an absurd stat came up. Between 2011 and 2018, the oil and gas industry unearthed 9 million tons of solid waste and over 380 million barrels of radioactive liquid waste in the U.S. alone. Pennsylvania was the second largest gas-producing state in America at the time. The effects of unearthing hazardous materials in the construction of fracking wells have tremendous effects on people everywhere. Both these examples show that this is a huge problem and needs one big community to be solved. The final level of the iceberg is what the majority of the people actually see. Most people aren't involved with many of the below waterline systems, relationships, actions, and decision-making. However, from films like The Invisible Hand and Groundswell Rising, we see the stories that are often hidden from most of the public. From the films, it was clear that many other people were negatively affected by fracking. Joseph Giovanni, a citizen from Washington County, Pennsylvania, described the effects of living near a fracking well for over a year. In Groundswell Rising, he explains, about 1 year after the plant got operational, I had a knockdown seizure. They told me I had 2 masses in my brain, as well as 2 small masses in my lung. This comment is hard to process because fracking is all over, and people can experience similar effects. All of this can be avoided by simply banning all wells from being operational. But again, the corporate state stands in the way of this solution. Lastly, to end on a high note, in 2014, the city of Pittsburgh was the first city in the United States to ban fracking wells. This positive event encouraged other communities to fight for their rights regarding fracking in their areas as well, including the state ban of fracking in Vermont. It's not only affected the U.S., 11 other countries, including France and Germany, have enacted bans and restrictions on fracking, showing signs that people are catching on to this movement and people are beginning to use their voice to fight for what is right. All in all, the iceberg model is a great way to understand systems, such as the varied ways that the corporate state continues to put the fracking industry above the health and well-being of people, communities, and ecosystems. All the levels that appeared beneath the water combine to create the events that we see above the water.